On a chilly mid-October day in 2018, a hush fell over the property of Lawrence Michael Chuck in Bella Coola, British Columbia. A week-long trip before had left the Chuck family eager to reunite with their children. However, returning home brought an unexpected challenge. A grizzly bear and her 3 cubs had claimed the yard as their own. The grizzly family, lured in by the lush fruit trees and abundant roots in Michael Chuck's backyard, had transformed this tranquil space into their territory. Their recurring presence put a stranglehold on the family's daily life, replacing the joyful sound of children playing outside with the unsettling silence of fear. No matter how hard Michael Chuck's in-laws tried shaking buckets of nuts and bolts to create loud, startling noises, the bears wouldn't budge. They seemed to have dug their claws into the property, almost as if they believed the humans were trespassers in their chosen sanctuary. As the days passed, the family's concern grew into a gnawing fear. The story of survival was unfolding. The lingering question hovered in the air, frosty with anticipation. What would Lawrence Michael Chuck do? How far would this family man go to ensure the safety of his loved ones and reclaim the peace of their home? The suspense was building, drawing us deeper into this real-life drama of man versus nature. Bella Coola is known for its grizzly bears, animals that command respect for their sheer size and toughness. These imposing creatures are especially feared when they're caring for their young. Their fierceness multiplies, turning an encounter into a very dicey situation. The place itself, a vibrant scene of flourishing greenery and teeming wildlife, draws tourists in droves. But this constant human interaction is an unforeseen consequence. The bears have grown bolder, and their fear of humans has significantly diminished. This escalating boldness of the bears heightened the peril for Lawrence Michael Chuck and his family. His children, particularly vulnerable due to their tender age, were just frozen in terror. Their fear was far from unfounded, though. They had already experienced a horrifying bear encounter, leaving his daughter nursing a severely injured arm. As memories of this past attack lingered like a ghost in their home, Michael Chuck's resolve hardened. If those grizzlies dared to step foot in their property again, he wouldn't stand by and let them roam unchecked. He was determined to protect his family and reclaim their sense of safety. The quiet before the storm was thinning, replaced by an uneasy tension about what was to come. As the first light of dawn painted the world in soft hues, the bears began their move from the shelter of the whispering pine trees. Their giant frames commanded attention, showcasing a raw, undeniable power that was awe-inspiring, but also signaling danger to Michael Chuck. He found his hand instinctively reaching for the shotgun, its chill piercing his sweat-damp palms. It was loaded, but not with killer ammunition, but a harmless bird shot, made for scaring away rather than inflicting damage. Yet the cold heaviness of the gun in his hands was a sobering reminder of the gravity of the situation. His heart pounding in his chest, a relentless drum echoing his fear. He felt the chill of the morning air on his skin, the usual tranquility replaced with the tension that made his hair stand on end. He took a deep breath, sucking in the cold air in a vain attempt to steady his racing heart. Gathering his courage, he squeezed the trigger, the shot erupting with a booming echo, a sound harsh and out of place in the peaceful morning. It was a warning to the bears, a clear sign of trespassing. His hope for a peaceful resolution, however, was shattered almost instantaneously. The mother grizzly, an embodiment of raw power and maternal instinct, charged. Her massive body, a whirlwind of fur and muscle, was a terrifying sight. Her deep growl cut through the morning air, a chilling sound that amplified the tension. Every thunderous footfall she took seemed to slow time itself, stretching each second into an eternity. His plan of deterring the bears with a warning shot had backfired, the reality sinking in with each of her advancing steps. The danger was real, it was immediate, and it was charging directly towards him. Caught in the intense stare of a grizzly, Michael Chuck found himself frozen, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs. As the grizzly advanced, again, time seemed to slow down even further. But what happened next may just surprise you. With adrenaline surging through his veins, Michael Chuck made a desperate dash for the safety of the house. Following a brief retreat, the bears made a second appearance. Feeling courageous, he fired another round up into the air, only to incite the grizzly's fury. The grizzly, fierce and menacing, made the first move, charging towards him. With his heart pounding and only a split second to think, he decided to take aim at the bear's right leg. As the trigger was pulled and the bear tumbled, Michael Chuck took advantage of those brief seconds to sprint back into the safety of his house, narrowly escaping a dangerous fate. But would this be the end of their encounters? Step into Lawrence Michael Chuck's boots for a moment. Picture the cold, dewy grass beneath your feet and the smell of damp earth and ripe fruit in the air. Feel your heart thundering in your chest, pounding so loudly that it seems to echo off the distant mountains. The chill of fear grips your spine as your eyes lock with the grizzlies. There's a raw power in her gaze that sends shivers down it. Now, imagine the life of yours hanging by a thread, a trigger pull, a moment's hesitation, a split-second decision between life and death, safety and danger. How terror-stricken would you be? What would your plan be? Would you dare confront someone, or would you choose the path of least resistance? Every tick of the clock could spell the difference between life and death. The relentless chill of panic as you bolt for the door, the world blurring around you as you focus on just survival. This is no hypothetical scenario, this is no movie plot. This is the grim reality that Michael Chuck faced. When the wilderness you call home reclaims its domain, when boundaries blur and beasts charge, things take a terrifying turn. Do you like this type of content? If sure, make sure to subscribe for more. Safe behind the comforting familiarity of his home, Michael Chuck exhaled a breath that he didn't realize that he'd been holding. His heart was pounding like a wild drum, each beat a reminder of the terrifying encounter that he had just had. His eyes, wide with a mix of adrenaline and relief, were locked on the grizzly bear and her cubs. The sow moved with a noticeable limp, the result of the bird shock that found its mark. Despite her injury, she managed to gather her cubs. Her eyes, once fiercely defiant, now bore an unmistakable hint of caution. As a family, they retreated back to the Whispering Pines, leaving behind a yard that had just witnessed an unimaginable drama. The once mundane backdrop of their home had turned into a stage for a primal showdown. The air seemed to breathe a sigh of relief as well, as if nature itself acknowledged the conclusion of this visceral face-off. As the echoes of this incident subsided, it was time to deal with the repercussions. Michael Chuck reported his encounter to the BC conservation officers, explaining his actions and showing them the video footage. His recounting of the event was later made public through a YouTube video, which unleashed a tidal wave of controversy. Critics were quick to label his actions as cruel and reckless. This condemnation was swift and relentless, fueled by the grainy images of a man and a bear locked in an unexpected confrontation. The fact that he had used non-lethal birdshot in an attempt to scare off the bear was just lost on so many people. But Michael Chuck held his ground, his voice steady and assertive, laid out his defense. I didn't want to blind her by hitting her in the face, so I aimed at her right side to hopefully trip her up. Viewers argued over his methods, questioning the necessity of using birdshot. They scrutinized his every move, some saying that he had provoked the bears. As the criticism grew, Michael Chuck stood his ground. He had done what he thought was necessary in a situation that most of us could only spend our entire lives just imagining. But an unexpected supporter was about to enter the debate. As the heat of controversy grew, unexpected support surfaced for Michael Chuck. The local conservation officers, the very people dedicated to protecting wildlife, came forwards. They said Michael Chuck had done the right thing. Envisioning the moment their backpedaling was revealed, the room fell quiet. It's like everyone held their breath, waiting. The officers' support, coming from people who knew the wilderness and its inhabitants, shut down some of the negative voices against Michael Chuck. Still, somehow, not everyone was convinced. Some critics stayed strong, not swayed by the officers' opinions. The debate kept boiling, reaching far beyond Bella Coola and spreading throughout the internet. The argument was no longer a local issue. It had spread globally, and had been discussed and argued over in many different places and many different languages. The story of Michael Chuck and the grizzly bear had stepped out of the woods of Bella Coola and into the worldwide stage. Despite the ongoing controversy, Lawrence Michael Chuck remained unwavering in his belief that he had done the right thing. He reflected, "It probably worked out well because the bear's alive and I'm alive." The reality of living with nature's most formidable predators was not lost on him, but the incident offered an essential reminder. Coexistence is a delicate balance. This story tells us that the line between protector and intruder can blur when shared habitats are involved, making us question, where do we draw that line? As the online debate simmered, one thing was clear. In the remote expanses of Bella Coola, humans and animal worlds had collided in an unforgettable way, leaving behind a tale that has long been debated, remembered, and pondered upon.